the third part of the chapter we deal with compound interest. Now, before understanding what compound interest, we have already done something called the simple interest in the earlier classes. Now, there is a difference between simple interest and compound interest. Let us assume that you have deposited 1000 rupees in a bank and the rate of interest is 10%. So, once we get this 10% interest, and let's say that you are depositing it for 2 years in a bank. Now, if we are calculating the simple interest means we are going to use the formula PRT by 100, where P stands for the principal, R stands for the rate, and T stands for the time. So, principal into rate into time by 100. So, this becomes 1000 into 10 into 2 upon 100, zeros gets cancelled, 10 into 10 is 100, 100 into 2 we get 200. So, which means that at the end of 2 years he gets an interest of 200 rupees. That means 1000 rupees was his principal. After 2 years he gets 200. So, his principal does not change for the 2 years. Even if it is 10 years, 12 years, the principal remains a constant. However, in case of compound interest, what happens is that the principal changes and hence you will get a higher rate of interest. So, compound interest basically means that if you are having the same question 1000 rupees 10% for 2 years, then what happens is that first we will calculate what does he get at the end of 1 year. So, if I am using the same formula PRT by 100, that is 1000 into 10, but instead of 2 years I am breaking this up into 1 plus 1. So, first year I am going to get 1000 into 10 upon 100, so 2 zeros cancels, he gets 100 rupees. Now, what happens in the case of compound interest is that this 100 gets added to your principal. So, now the principal is no longer 1000 rupees, it is 1000 plus 100, so that is going to be 1100. So, 1100 rupees will be your total principal. Now, once we get this, then we can find out the interest that he gets for the second year. So, this is going to be 1100 into 10 into 1 by 100. So, 0 and 0 gets cancelled. So, he gets here 110 rupees as the interest. Now, we are going to add this up 0, 1, 2, 1. So, he gets at the end of 2 years 1210. So, we find that the compound interest will always be more than the simple interest because the principal keeps changing. So, here in this case we find that the amount that we have got at the end of 2 years is 1210, but when we were calculating simple interest for 2 years it was only 1200. So, he gets an additional 10 rupees by this compound interest. So, this process becomes slightly long if the number of years is more. So, we have calculated here for 2 years, but suppose it is 4 years, 5 years, we have to keep repeating this procedure. So, for that we have a formula by which we can directly find out the compound interest. So, that formula is A equal to P 1 plus R by 100 to the power of n. Using this formula, we can find out the amount that we will get after n number of years. So, here A stands for the amount, P stands for the principal, that means the money that one is depositing, R stands for the rate, and n is the number of times he will get the interest. So, depending on the question, here he can get the interest once a year. If it is half yearly, he will get twice a year. If it is quarterly, he will get 4 times a year. So, we will have to read the question very carefully about the annually, half yearly or quarterly. So, in this case, the amount can be found out. To find the compound interest, we will use the formula A minus P. So, compound interest is amount minus principal.